The Leafs have done a thing, and it's a rather large thing. And I'm going to tell you what thing it was. Brad! After these words from Adam Wylde.
You know who's got balls, Steve Dangle?
Who?
Brad!
Yeah, finally!
Makes a big trade for a third-line center. And listen, Scott Laughton, welcome to Toronto. I just want to ask you, do you have your facial and your dacial? Your down there stairs, you know? Have you had that taken care of?
Adam.
I've done this a few times. I have to make it new every single time. Manscaped.com. 20% off anywhere. International. 20% off. Dangle, manscaped.com or manscaped.com/dangle. All right, now, Scott Laughton is a Toronto Maple Leaf. The Leafs asked about Ryan O'Reilly. He wasn't interested in a reunion. The Leafs asked about Braden Shen. He didn't want to waive his no-trade clause mid-season. So the Leafs pivoted to Scott Laughton. And the deal is as follows. Are you kids ready to go?
Yeah,
Ready to
well, before you
out.
read the full deal, I want to give a massive shout out to Jacob Stoller. He has less than 5,000 followers on Twitter. He is the guy who had this first.
There you go.
He had the Leafs getting Laughton for Grebenkin in a first, but obviously that's not the full deal.
CJ has it. The Leafs send first-round pick Nikita and Nikita Grebenkin to Philadelphia for Scott Laughton, 50% retained. And Scott Laughton, by the way, makes $3 million a year, so that means the Leafs will pay $1.5 million AAV this year and next for Scott Laughton.
Prorated this year, obviously.
And they're also going to get a fourth and a sixth round back. And as of this recording, we don't know what years those are, but we do know that the first-round pick the Leafs sent to Philadelphia is not until 2027, and it's top 10 protected. Steve, you were railing about this on the show.
Yeah.
You can't give up a pick top 10 unless it's top 10 protected.
Unless it's protected.
Because they might die.
Yes. We all might die.
So we
might perish.
Then you trade everything.
No.
Who cares? We're dead. The asteroid hit.
Yeah, you're right.
True.
Here's what I was worried about. Years and years ago, the Leafs traded a first-round pick ahead of time. It was going to potentially be the first overall pick. Don't worry, it dropped to third. Oh, no, it's Scott Niedermayer. Then a few years later, oh, no, it's the fourth overall pick or whatever it was. And it was Roberto Luongo. And they traded 2 picks for Phil Kessel, and that turns into Tyler Seguin and Dougie Hamilton. It can be a disaster. People have learned from their mistakes, particularly the Leafs. The Leafs walked and then fell down and tumbled down a flight of stairs so the rest of the league could run, is basically what all this is. It's a 2027 first-round pick. It's top 10 protected. Mm-hmm. There's nothing to complain about in that regard. If you're worried about the things I was worried about, which is most things, but if you're worried about the Leafs giving up a lottery pick, I am quelled. I feel okay. They're not going to have to deal with what if Tavares doesn't come back, what if Marner doesn't come back, and then the immediate fallout is you've given up a 2026 first-round pick and it's unprotected. This is a 2027 first-round pick, and it's top 10 protected, which I think means it could potentially be 2028 in the event the Leafs do suck. So there's that. A lot of people are calling this an overpay right now, and I don't think you're grasping how big it is that, like, if the Leafs got Scott Laughton on his own at $3 million, I'd look at this deal. If it was Laughton for a first in Grebenkin, I'd be like, ooh, I don't know if I love it, but they needed this player. It's okay. I'm okay with it. I would grin, I would cringe a little, and I would bear it. To get Laughton 50% retained, prorated $1.5 million this year, $1.5 million for all of next year, and you recoup a fourth and a sixth. To me, that's a really, really strong deal for the Leafs. It's a good return for Philly. Grebenkin is a great player. Flyers fans, you're going to love him. Back check, forecheck, paycheck. And this guy will fight. I think he is going to be a dream for probably to start the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, but then John Tortorella, I think he is absolutely going to adore this player. It just occurred to me, Nikita Grebenkin, it could potentially, you know how we're always looking for the next guy to talk Russian to Matvei Michkov? Hey! Yeah, with Andrei Kuzmenko at the door, here's Grebenkin. The Flyers are rebuilding. Grebenkin's already played NHL games and didn't look too out of place. I think you could play him on your roster the rest of the season and look okay. Here is what's very interesting about this deal. Lane Lambert, I think, is going to be the happiest member of the Leafs coaching staff with this trade. Scott Laughton has played the most shorthanded minutes on the Philadelphia Flyers this year out of any forward. 98 minutes and 2 seconds. He has played nearly 14 more minutes shorthanded than the next closest Flyers forward.
So they trust him. How's the Flyers PK?
That's a great question. Well, they have no goalie.
Okay,
So
yeah.
Trust them, but are they good?
Yeah.
they
Good point,
helps
Adam.
to have a goalie. They need a goalie.
Where's their PK rank?
I
can
Adam
look it
will
up.
bring it up.
Okay.
In terms of shorthanded time on ice per game, Laughton averages a minute 38 per game, which is more than 12 seconds. Or sorry, it is 12 seconds more than the next closest Flyers forward. Here's where that's very interesting. I think a lot of us want the Leafs to do more than just Laughton. They desperately needed a third-line center. Max Domi never has to play third-line center again unless there's an injury, in which case, oh well. Maybe Laughton will even be line mates with Domi. We don't know. We don't know. But in terms of the Leafs moving money out, the person this trade could potentially make expendable is David Kampf.
Really?
I think. Well, the reason he's on this team, you could get a fourth line center anywhere. What makes David Kampf important to the Leafs is how much he plays on the penalty kill for the Leafs and how he, like Matthews is usually out there with Marner, but to start the PK, it's Kampf and Marner, right? So if you're getting Laughton and he's going to be on your PK this year and he's going to be on your PK next year, what do you need David Kampf for?
Well, you got a second PK, don't you?
You do, but that's what Matthews is there for, and Yarncroke, and
Maybe you want to
Knies,
give
and-
those guys a breather. Like, this is the
Maybe.
thing. The one thing I'll say about Kampf, and I agree with you. I think
He
that-
also makes $2.4 million.
but that means you've solidified your 3C and your 4C. And if you have Fraser Mitten moving in next year, maybe he splits time with Laughton. But you've done that for $4 million.
Oh, I forgot about the whole Fraser Mitten factor. Well, assuming Mitten is still a Leaf by an hour and a half from now.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good.
Which we don't know. But yeah, you could have a 1, 2, 3, 4 that is some combination of Matthews, Tavares, Laughton, and Mitten. The other thing that is kind of important to all this is this helps you a little bit with leverage with Tavares because right now, Laughton, oh man, that's a lot to give up for your third line center. I got great news for you. Right now, he's slotted to be the second line center next season. So
Yeah. So,
until they sign Tavares, don't worry about it.
the Flyers, by the way, are mid-level in terms of penalty kill. We asked about that earlier. The Flyers are 16th in the NHL in penalty kill. At 14th, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Hey, well, you know what? 16th with
That roster and that record, that's pretty good.
well, and you don't have the highest save percentage on the Philadelphia Flyers is Sammy Urson at 889.
Wow. Okay, now
Ivan Fedotov 885, Alexei Kolosov 870. Ooh, I'm dying.
all right. Now the other thing we should mention is that Scott Laughton is known to be a really great teammate, a vibes guy. Jesse, I sent that picture over to you. It's the Last Supper picture that went viral a few days ago with him and his teammates. This is a guy who is beloved. And the Toronto Maple Leafs need vibe guys. I mean, Ryan Reeves is on waivers today. We don't know what that means for him, if he's going to be a Marley or if he's going to just be a part of the Leafs with the option. But this is a kind of guy that character people really, really love. And that does matter.
Yes, and the passion is just absolutely coursing through his veins. The Oakville, Ontario native who played where, Adam? That's right, with the Oshawa friggin' Generals. We got a former Jenny on the team, boys and girls. Let's friggin' go.
Grebenkin and the picks, guys. Let's talk about that for Philly.
So what I was going to say, so Grebenkin is obviously further down the line. He's a professional hockey player now. But for any Leaf fan who was like, oh no, Grebenkin, he was a 5th round pick. So you get a 4th and a 6th. To me, that makes up for it right there. Like I said earlier for the Flyers, I think he could play on your team right now and not look out of place and be totally fine. Speaking of vibes, guys, he's awesome.
He's a vibes guy.
Dude barely speaks English, and he's like one of the most hilarious dudes in the
I saw a
organization.
tweet that him and Mitchkov are friends.
Oh,
Are they?
Well,
Yeah,
that makes a lot
so
of
it's good
sense.
stuff.
Now,
Grebenkin.
Jesse and Steve, I do want to ask about this. This is kind of an important thing. How do you think Brad did on this deal? Because Brad is known as a quiet deadline guy. Leaf fans were pretty freaked out about it going into this deadline. It's nice to get the center. I think there's still more work to do. How do you rate this trade for Brad?
The 1.5 for next season for
Really
your
good.
3C Like, I can't hate that. I don't care about a 2027 draft pick. I think the Leafs are in a win now mode because of how much losing they've done in the playoffs. It has to be you have to capitalize on this season. Having that $1.5 million now for your third C allows you to do more today.
Yes.
And it allows you to do more in the future, which I don't care about, but that's very good. And I just think they're very flexible at this current moment. So hopefully he gets more done. But right now, good piece of work.
To quote the great Dutch Vanderlyn of Red Dead Redemption 2, there is no reality where we do nothing and get everything. Tampa is making moves. Florida is making moves. You had to do something. Listen, did you get Gordon Bjorkstrand? No. Did you get Seth Jones?
I thought that was a guy.
No.
Gordon Bjorkstrand. He's a great country artist.
Gordon Bjorkstrand.
Gord and
Yeah, that really had a great folk album with Neil Young.
Yeah. Really good stomp clap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gordon Bjorkstrand. It's not quite the swing, but it's really efficient. Like Scott Laughton on the open market makes a hell of a lot more than 1.5. Jonathan Kovacevic just signed a $20 million contract. You could argue if Scott Laughton was a UFA this summer, he could be making 3 times what the Leafs are going to be paying him.
Dare I say it reminds me of the McCabe deal?
The Jake McCabe deal?
A little. The way we look at it right now, with the way Chicago retained on that, and we get McCabe for another season, this current season, on this such a low cap hit, and he's playing so important in your lineup. Yeah. Having Laughton next year at that 1.5, we're going to look at it as like, oh my God, look at this gravy.
Massive. And like Jake McCabe at 2.5 seasons of $2 million. He's on a $2 million cap hit for the Leafs right now. So again, this would have been too rich for my liking, a little too rich for my liking, if it was simply Laughton full cost for a first in Grebenkin. It's not. It's Laughton half cost, including next year, and the Leafs get a 4th and a 6th. I'm having a really hard time complaining.
One more thing that you'll really like about Scott Laughton, and then, of course, we'll have a full breakdown when SDPN goes live at 4 o'clock. But Scott Laughton goes to the net, guys.
I like that.
He crashes the net, known as a net crasher.
Go to the net!
There you go. So, Scott Laughton is now an official Toronto Maple Leaf. Nikita Grebenkin is now a part of the Philadelphia Flyers system, and we wish him the best of luck because he was phenomenal with the Marlies and looks to be an impact player eventually in his career. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to you, Brad. But you're not done yet, are you?